Welcome once again to Pinfalls. I, of course, am who else but Tommy Ellis, and joining me from the Everyday Fan and Johngy'sBeat.com is the man on the beat from Skokie, Illinois, Mr. John Wroblewski.
How are you,
John,
Tommy?
I'm good, buddy. It is time for the Elimination Chamber. The Elimination Chamber. It is not just, it's not a name for another name for the bathroom. It is actually as Jim Ross once put it, Satan's structure. It is 10 tons of steel, or no, I'm sorry, it's 2 tons of steel, but 10 miles of steel chain, consisting of four chambers with bulletproof glass, just in case. I find it interesting that they've got the bulletproof glass. Now, I've never seen anyone ever take a shot at anybody in the chamber. Plus, the bulletproof glass is only on one side of it, and it's chain and wide open on the other side. So, really, if you wanted to take the guy out, he is a sitting duck. I mean, he's trapped in that thing. I mean, you could take him out from behind if
You
you
might
really
want to
wanted to
keep
go
that on the
there.
down low. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm not trying to, I don't suggest it to anybody, but I'm just saying,
The mere
logistically,
fact that you thought of it is kind
there's better ways. Well,
of.
I would never have thought of it if they didn't decide to put bulletproof glass in there. And not to mention that bulletproof as it may be, we've seen more than a few wrestlers bust right through that thing
Yes.
before.
So that
So,
makes it questionable whether it is bulletproof.
yes. Now, Jim Ross calls it Satan's structure, but this is not to be confused with Hell in a Cell, which is the devil's playground.
Yeah.
So,
So what's all this devil stuff, man? The two of the pay-per-views are
well,
satanic.
it's because it's that dangerous, it's that unforgiving. It is if anybody saw the very first elimination chamber, it was by far and away to this day the most brutal because back then they didn't put pads down on the grates that were on the floor outside of the ring, and guys were taking just, I mean, you're talking like on the light end, these guys are 250. I mean, you had
Yeah.
Booker T and I mean, like I think Shawn Michaels was probably the lightest guy in that match. Rob Van Dam, Triple H. It's like there's, and it
Well,
now there's pads and stuff like that out there. So it's, it's still rough. It's got a ceiling on it and everything. But the Elimination Chamber has gone from being just a match at any given pay-per-view to they've had it at WrestleMania before, and now it has become your second chance at getting into WrestleMania. Before Royal Rumble was it. Whoever wins the Rumble, main event. Well, we got two titles. We got two nights of WrestleMania now, and so the Chamber has kind of become the last chance for some if they're looking to
you're,
get into a
oh,
title shot.
you're like a walking historian today. Nice going.
Well, I mean I've watched since they started doing this thing. I remember the first one. It was supposedly Eric Bischoff's concept, and at least they used to give him credit for it all. They don't ever bring it up anymore. But back then, they used to say that Bischoff came up with this diabolical thing. So that being said, let's take a look at our matches.
We
We
got
have
four matches and a confrontation.
actually before that we do need to discuss our tally. Last I saw, the last we kind of drew even on the
Yes.
last one,
Yes.
and that was the first one of the year. So we are at a 0-0 balance right
Yeah,
now.
we both predicted the winners of the actual like matches, and then the Royal Rumble itself. I mean, the odds of picking the winner of that are pretty slim. So
Yeah,
we
neither of us.
count it, but you know,
Right.
we're still off to a good start.
Yeah. So it's anybody's game right now. So here we
Mine,
here.
mine,
What?
none.
Mine. Get out of here. Okay, let's get into this here. Let's talk the non-chamber matches here first, of which there are two. Uh, Women's match. We've got tag team match action here. We've got Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus versus Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. Uh, I don't like anything about this match. I'm
It's a
not
filler.
I'm not interested in it. I think that they are giving Tiffany Stratton too much of a face push right now. I think that she has ridden on her ego and being more of a heel than anything. And while she and her character appreciate the attention from the crowd, she shouldn't be basking in it and giving back to them. Now, on her own, she really hasn't done that much. But when you go and you pair her with the sweetheart of the WWE, Trish Stratton or Trish Stratus, now you're giving her full face status, because now, especially pinning her up against, Nia Jax and Candice LeRae and everything. So I don't like that direction. Now, granted, she is going to be facing Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania, and Charlotte is definitely heel. So I get, but you can still have. I mean, she could. I think she still could have maintained her character. She would be the natural face of the two. I mean, uh, Flair is definitely more heel
Yeah.
than Stratton is, but I think it could have worked without really trying to pump up the face status on her. All that being said, I see absolutely nothing to be gained by Nia Jax and Candice LeRae winning this match. And so I'm going to go with Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus.
Same. Now, I absolutely hate, and I've seen this online so many times. I absolutely hate, well, Stratus and Stratton are going to win. It's in Toronto. It's in, Stratus territory, Canada. I just hate that. I'm not picking it because of that, but you see that so often. Why does a wrestler have to win when he's at home, especially on a pay-per-view? Like, let that go for the house shows or Raw or whatever. For a
Right.
pay-per-view, there's no reason that should dictate or anyway who's going to win. That's ridiculous.
No, and this is too big of a pay-per-view to
Right.
to to give somebody a win for something that's just arbitrary.
But then again, this whole match is kind of arbitrary. It doesn't do anything. It came
It's
kind
just
of out of
it's killing time until WrestleMania.
right. But there's so much other talent on the roster. I would rather see just two other women fight it out just for the sake of fighting it out. With all
Right,
that being said, I see no reason why Trish and Tiffany are not going to win this thing.
right. Well, that's number one. Okay, moving on. We've got Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens in an unsanctioned match. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, as everybody knows, has been fighting each other for probably close to 3 decades now. Uh, am I wrong? I mean, it's got to be at least
I
two,
was going
two
to
and a
say
half.
10 years, but yours was better.
Well, I mean, think about it. I mean, we saw them, both of them, back in Resistance Pro in 2012.
That's
That's
true.
that's 13 years right there.
Yeah.
And those
You're
guys
halfway
were
home.
right. And those guys, I mean, so I won't say 30, but I mean, they easily over 20 years. I
Yeah,
mean, because
you're
they were
right.
wrestling probably 10 years before we even saw them. So yeah, this is like the bazillionth match they've ever had. So what makes this one different? Well, this one's unsanctioned. So the WWE does not take any responsibility for this. They will, however, take whatever money is made off of
Yeah.
it. Uh, but as far as who's going to win this, it's really like it's a coin flip, but I can lean 51% in one direction. I think that this is something that they're trying to build up to a WrestleMania match, and I, which if they are, I still think this is a bad idea to do this match now and then in 6 weeks or whatever, basically have the same thing again, in whatever it's a Hell in a Cell or whatever the
Right.
heck they want, whatever they want to do with it to bump it up from an unsanctioned match. I mean, because realistically, an unsanctioned match should be like the finisher for
That should
a
be the blow off.
right. That and Hell in a Cell are usually the end of a rivalry there, right? But uh, in order to get there, I feel like Kevin Owens is going to have to win this to bait Sammy into going, and then Sammy gets the big win at WrestleMania.
I think also for different reasons, and unfortunately, I agree. I think they are going to bring this to WrestleMania, which, for the love of God, let that be the last one. Um, but
I get letting them have like their big moment where it's the two of them having a WrestleMania match and everything, but then don't do this match. Don't
exactly.
just don't
Right.
do this one because
Right.
it's like we just saw this now, and I don't care if you stick them in a cage or out in the street or in a
Yeah.
paddle boat.
Yeah, I
I
don't
mean, just
care.
I mean, it's still the same two guys, and I don't know.
I do think Randy Orton's going to get involved, and I think I'm leaning more towards. I have to pick a winner, so I'm picking Owens, but I would think that it might be because of interference from Orton, or it might be like a double DQ or double something. Well, I guess you can't have a DQ if it's an unsanctioned. Who knows? But the rules seem to change. Um,
I
do you
mean,
have
you
do you
could
have a count out?
the worst you could do is if yeah, like if like neither of them were fit to compete, like if like they both did like the three arm
Yeah.
drop or something like that, and like they just took each other out entirely and got nowhere with it, which would probably be the only worthwhile ending to it is if they just went the distance and just got nowhere, and so they gotta do it again, and this time it's at WrestleMania. It's the only thing I think that could hype a match up like that
I
and
mean,
make
Orton
it
might take them both
interesting.
out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But I will pick Owens for the sake of the best, for the sake of the the our pinfalls. I'll pick Owens. I do think Orton's going to get involved though.
Okay. Well, I think that's a fair guess. Um, we'll get to we are going to talk about there's going to be a segment where Cody will answer The Rock's proposal to being his personal champion and taking his soul, so to speak. We will get to that though in at the end here. So let's go to the women's elimination chamber match. Six competitors in a match. Two started out every 5 minutes. So another chamber randomly opens. We do not know who will be starting the match, but I can tell you the six girls in it. We have our current women's tag team champions, Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez. You've got Bianca Belair and Naomi, who are now the former women's tag team champions. And then you've got Alexa Bliss and Bayley. All right. So, Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez just defeated Bianca Belair and Naomi for the women's tag team championships this last Monday night on Raw. So to me, that means that they will therefore be defending those titles as they are not defending them here at WrestleMania, which means there's no reason for either one of those girls to win the Elimination Chamber. So that's two out right there. Okay. As far as Bayley and Bliss, I don't think you got to remember whoever's going to win this is going to end up facing Rhea Ripley at or Io Sky or whatever. Because I think that's the other match actually. There's Rhea Ripley versus Io, I think. We did not talk about discussing it on the show ahead of time, so we won't count that as a match to bank on. But I'm assuming that Rhea Ripley will be going into WrestleMania as the champion.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not even sure that it's Io Sky she's facing, but regardless, it's going to be Rhea Ripley there. So
Yeah.
it's not even worth talking about. Okay, so whoever wins this is going to go there. So let's think about it. Bayley versus Rhea Ripley. I don't know. I mean, I feel like Rhea Ripley would just rip Bayley apart, and I don't see Bayley taking the title and going into the new year, as our new women's champion. Alexa Bliss just hasn't been around long enough for anybody to care, and that crowd is going to be a pro Rio crowd. Okay. Now, in discussions backstage, Bianca Belair and Naomi have talked and said that they're planning on teaming up the entire time in the chamber until it comes down to just the two of them. and then it's on. This is where I see this match going, and it will come down to those two. And uh, there has been rumors and speculation about who had jumped Jade Cargill in the parking lot a couple months ago. Now, Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez have been considered the main suspects because they were seen in the area on video camera.
Sure.
But they kind of keep insinuating in little bits that perhaps Naomi may have been the one who did this. And and she's playing it off and blaming other people for it and stuff like that. So if that's the case, I could see like maybe before the match or something like that, somewhere it's going to come out. And maybe it'll happen the day after. I don't know. But it's going to come out that Naomi, I think, was the one who jumped Jade Cargill. So all that is to say that when it comes down to the two of them at the end, I think we're looking at Bianca Belair winning this, and then you've got Bianca versus Rhea Ripley, which would be a good match at WrestleMania. So,
Well, you know what's hilarious? My notes was almost verbatim what you said. The only difference I had was that Bianca Belair and Naomi might have done it together, taken Jade out together. That was the only thought I had that could be slightly different.
and you know what? It would be better if that was the case because you need to make Belair the heel in this situation here too.
Right.
So, like going in with at least going in with Ripley. So that's a good thought.
But I see the two of them fighting out, and maybe Cargill somehow interferes in this too and causes someone to win. But yeah, by the same process of elimination, I came down to those two in the end, and Belair winning it.
Yeah, Naomi versus Ripley is not a WrestleMania main event. It's just
No.
not. Sorry. I like Naomi, but not that much. All right, well, this takes us to the men's elimination chamber. We have none other than John Cena, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul, Damian Priest, and Seth Rollins. All 6 men vying for a spot at WrestleMania to face Cody Rhodes for the Universal Championship or whatever they're calling it right now. So again, just process of elimination here, plus some other thoughts that weigh in here. I think that we're going to be looking at a CM Punk Seth Rollins match at WrestleMania. And I think that right there takes those two guys out of this. These guys have been, at each other's throats all year. They haven't really had a proper one-on-one match, and it's something that you would say for a Mania match. So I think right there you take them out. Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes. Nobody's going to care. Sorry, just nobody's going to care. So Damian Priest, maybe under different circumstances in a different time, could possibly have gotten the spot and got a chance to do it. But there's a lot of other moving parts going on right now that I don't think it's the time for him to get that spot. Same with Logan Paul. It's just it's not enough. He doesn't have enough going on with Cody or anything really for that matter. He just got his full-time status in the WWE, and I think that as much as they are making money on that guy, they don't need to put him in the main event at Mania to still do well off of him. So that leaves us with John Cena. Now, here's also why I think John Cena is going to win this, okay? Cena's been trying to get into Romania somehow, okay? This is going to be his last match. This is his retirement match, all right? So typically the tradition is you lose your retirement match, all right? Cena has been the face of the WWE since the early 2000s in every way, shape, and form, inside and outside the ring. He's never turned heel. He's always been a good guy.
Well, he started as a
Nobody.
heel.
That's true. No, you're right. You're right. He did start as a heel. I'm sorry. But once he went face, that was it. Nobody's granted more Make-A-Wishes than he
Right.
has. I mean, he's just, nobody's done more press than he has. He's gotten in the movies, the whole 9 yards. This is where I think that the situation with The Rock and Cody Rhodes comes into play. Cena is going to end up passing the torch, so to speak, to Cody Rhodes because in recent history, Cody has been that guy, and they keep bringing it up all the time. Nobody does more press. Nobody's better with the kids and takes the time to sign autographs and do all this stuff. And I'll be perfectly honest, I saw him at a house show last December, and it was all 100% true. In between, like breaks, everything, that guy came out multiple times to go out and sign autographs with the kids and things like that. Was there before the show, was there after the show, all that stuff. And this was like a freezing night in Iowa. And it was a place where not that many people were there. It was untelevised. But if he's doing it there, he's doing it everywhere.
Right.
So I think they're seeing him as their next best option for the new Cena, so to speak. Enter The Rock, who's now in charge of everything, and he knows they've got this guy, but he wants like that Vince McMahon control over him. He wants him in his pocket. So, and so he's offering him the world, but he's got to be his bitch, basically. And that's the whole I want your soul thing. So, with all of that taken into consideration, I think John Cena will win the Elimination Chamber. It'll be his last big win. It'll get him into Mania, and then it helps propel Cody and that story going forward post Mania.
That's an interesting take. I don't agree with some of it. I mean, I could talk about Cena, but I'll save that for the WrestleMania show. Cena is going to somehow get into that a main event match, but it's not going to be because of this.
Okay.
I agree with you. Logan Paul don't need him in the main event. He's got a big enough audience. He's going to draw the attention anyway. Damian Priest, same thing, or not the same thing, but the same thing as you had said. Seth Rollins, no, no. He's going to have a high profile match. Um, it, it's going to come down to Cena and Punk, and I think
Okay.
Punk's going to take it, and then he's going to get his WrestleMania moment that he's wanted forever.
Well, here's the thing. I agree that I think again, if it, kind of like the Damian Priest situation, I think under different circumstances, Punk would be the clear choice to give it to, and Cena doesn't need to have the main event. I mean, he doesn't really need to have the main event himself, but I think they need him to be in the main event to help with the story. Uh, so if I had a second choice, if I had a backup guy, it would most definitely be Punk. So I hear what you're saying, but
See,
at least we've got one difference, and it's most likely going to be the main event, so it'll
see,
raise the stakes.
Cena could wrestle and either win or lose whatever at WrestleMania, and he could still be involved in the Cody match. Maybe, I mean, I'm going like way off tangent here. Maybe The Rock being the evil boss again, like the McMahon character, like you said. Maybe he tries to help who's ever against Cody because Cody told him to shove it. And then Cena comes in and takes on The Rock and saves the day. Cena goes out the champ. He holds up, Cody's arm, and
Yeah.
there's the passing of the torch.
Yeah, no, there could be a way that they could work around it for sure. I mean, yeah, if they wanted to try to make everybody happy, yeah, I suppose they could do the Cena or I'm sorry, the Cody and Punk match, and then yeah, all that goes down in the process. It's a possibility,
That would mean
but
Punk would have to turn heel, of course, which he could with The Rock.
he could. Now, we also got to remember, even because they sometimes make a point to not bring it up for a while. But he still has a favor with Paul
Yes.
Heyman, and we don't know what that favor is. So That's a factor too. But for now, all we can go off of is, what we've got on paper here in front of us. And so I'm, yes, they can throw all sorts of variables and wild cards in there and stuff, but I'm gonna go with the Cena theory,
All right.
and we'll see what happens.
I got Punk, you
Uh,
got Cena.
yeah. So we got the main event riding on this one here.
I think we
So.
got a safe bet it's going to be one of those two guys.
Yeah, one of us will be right. Yes. Yeah. So, well, with that, thank you everybody for tuning into Pinfalls. Again, as always, please do check us out on YouTube and leave us comments and let us know your thoughts and your predictions, either pre or post show. Let us know what you thought of the show. And we'll be back, I guess, for our WrestleMania predictions next time. So that'll be a big one. It's going to be a two night show, and still think we need to go back to one, but we'll talk about that next time. So until
I
then,
agree.
as always, I of course have been who else but Tommy else. With me as always is the man on the beat for the everyday fan and johngysbeat.com, Mr. John Wroblewski.
Enjoy.